All right, in this next section, we'll look at CSS properties. Previously, we looked at selecting or targeting DOM elements. Now we're going to look at how do we take it one step further after we found what we're looking for, how to style it accordingly. So there's two basic forms of select or properties. Standalone properties, which are individual properties that just manage a single property about something that we want to style. And then there are families that are more complex, and they're actually categorized as families, where the property is a family, and then inside that family you have a member. So the way that you access the individual elements of the family is through the property name followed by a dash and then the member of the family in order to target the element of the family. So changes to a family member explicitly or with a long form only controls that member of the family and not everything within the family. If I utilize the family name and then set everything with the shorthand notation, then everything within the context of the family will be set. So what that looks like is we have the family text decoration, and then text decoration has the member line, style, color, and thickness. And if I did the long form, I would only control one element at a time. If I do short form, I will then actually set all of the elements of the family, whether or not I provide them all. If I don't provide all of the family members, then there will be defaults values that are sent to the family in place of what I left out. So deciding between using short, long form also takes into account, do you want to utilize the default values, or do you want to just control one element or multiple elements? Those are questions that you need to ask yourself. But if I use long form, this will only set this member and not the entire family. If I do the entire, if I set the family, it's going to set all of the members related to the family, which you may or may not want to do. And then the other thing to note about short form and long form, the order that I present the short form values in doesn't matter. It does it based off of the type of information that you're providing. So a style isn't the same contextual information as a color. So the values are contextually different and they will be unique to the type of information that that field or that member is looking for. So a color will be a color value. Style will be a styling value, which are inherently different. Thickness is looking for a number. The other ones are looking for a string representation of what their meaning is. There's a bunch of different types of properties, over 500, as mentioned previously, but we'll look at a few of the basics in the context of typography, list, as well as background. With typography, we're interested in how we present text and show it so that it's most readable, understandable, and comprehensible or digestible in an efficient manner. So we'll be looking at paragraphs and lists and how the text contained inside them will be rendered to the end user. Here's an example where the title is bold, punchy. It has a thick weight to the letters. The color is blue. It's underlined. So it's very different than some of the other forms of text that we're seeing down below. Here, between these two, we will notice that the line height is actually different between here and a lot smaller there. So these are some of the things, besides the color blue here, color green here, color black here. These are some of the things that we can do with text. Change the font weight, change the line height, and color is for the color of text, not the color of backgrounds. It's specific to text. I'm not sure why they didn't just say text color, but it was given the name color. So we can change font with font, which is shorthand. Inside font, there's font size, font weight, and some other values for the font. Text, you might think is a family name, and then these are the long forms of it, but that's not accurate. So text is odd in that it looks like a long form representation of something that doesn't exist. So text align looks at aligning the text horizontally. Text decoration is a family of itself. Text justification is only looking at being able to control the space around text. Text overflow looks at how we clip text when it's being rendered. And so text decoration looks at everything related to a text's decoration. But the other ones, text align, text justify, text overflow, are different contextual scopes of dealing with text in terms of layout, in terms of positioning, in terms of hiding and showing things, which is kind of why it's not a family, because it's doing a bunch of other things specific to the utilization of text. Then we have list. We can use list to represent lists of values. With unordered list, we could change and control the presentation of the dot. Make it checkboxes or emoji, smiles, and stuff like that. But it's just controlling the style and the presentation of unordered list, where you can specify the style type, the position of where the mark goes, and then not just using a text type for the mark, but we can use an image reference to display an image for the mark. Backgrounds. Backgrounds are a family of a whole tier of different members: size, color, image, repeat, position. So it looks at being able to take a block level element, style the background of it with images or just with color. You can set the size of that background to be a certain set of dimensions. You can position it certain ways. You can decide whether or not the pattern that you're using or the image that you're using will it repeat, so that it can be consistent in pattern for your entire background. Even though you might have a small image that captures the pattern that's represented by the image. So here, this is not an image IMG background. It's actually a div or some type of other HTML element that a background image is applied to give the background what it is. And then this is the containing text that is inside of, or that's being wrapped by whatever that element is for the hero section. A hero section is a section with a background image or a strip of an image, and then a title section or call to action in between. Down below is another containing element. This time it's not using an image, but just using background color. Background color is set, and then the text in that section is changed with the color to make the color white. So this will be a header section. And then we styled it with a background image text that is white. So in the context of color, color is represented in a bunch of different ways. There's numerical forms that they're encoded in, and then there's 147 predefined names of colors that you can utilize to explicitly call out the numbers that you want to utilize. Other than that, they're represented by different number systems. RGB stands for red, green, and blue color channels, and then you utilize a 8-bit number 0 to 256 in order to represent shades of red, green, and blue that are combined together to get the wide variety of colors that we see and detect. You'll notice that one representation has a percentage at the end. That percentage at the end is for an alpha channel. An alpha channel represents how translucent or transparent a color is so that you can start seeing through it. Then there's the hue, saturation, and lightness. There's hue, whiteness, and darkness. These are some of the different color systems that you can use to represent color. And then finally, there's a hexadecimal color where there's 2 bits for each color value. And those 2 bits are represented by a hexadecimal value. They could be represented in 4 different ways, and the way it works is you can do 2 bits for red, 2 bits for green, 2 bits for blue. If those bits are repeating, you could just write the value once, and then it just means that that value is represented twice. Like F is FF, O is OO, 9 is 99. The values are just repeating. And then you could do hexadecimal with the alpha channel as a 2-bit.